What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shen Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Levon Maynard.
And welcome to the show.
What is going on? So thank you for tuning in. Again, Monday and Tuesday are our topics. So on Monday, we discussed Meta and how they came out with a list of apps that were stealing credentials from social media, such as themselves, Facebook. And then on Tuesday, we discussed how the DOE is, or Department of Energy, I should say, is incentivizing companies to upgrade their infrastructure ahead of the 5-year mandate that's going to come out shortly. So if you want to jump on early and get incentivized and save some money, that's great. But in 5 years, certain things will be mandatory. That you can start now. And then on Friday, we just talk about everything else. So call it the weekly rundown, talk about movies, games, books, all that good stuff. But for today's episode, it's a discussion that comes from Wired.com. The story is titled "The Uber Data Breach Conviction Shows Security Execs What Not to Do." Former Uber security chief Joe Sullivan's conviction is a rare criminal consequence for an executive's handling of a hack. So this one's been all over the interwebs this week. It's definitely going to have ripple effects throughout the industry because it typically does not happen. In the article, it says Uber's former chief security officer, Joe Sullivan, was found guilty this week of actively hiding a data breach from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, and concealing a felony. The case has reverberated through the security and tech worlds because it is seemingly the first time that an individual executive, has faced criminal prosecution for the charges related to data breach against the exec's company. So this rarely happens. Typically, this stuff is either swept under the rug or it goes into I want to say operation. That's not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? When the two sides fight over the case while going to
court. Mediation.
Yeah, mediation. It's another term for it.
Arbitration.
I'm not a lawyer. Arbitration. There it is. I'm not a lawyer, right? I just watched a TV show with a lawyer on it. So don't take any of this as advice because I don't know what I'm talking about. But typically this does not happen. And the article goes into how it may have a chilling effect on the position as well as in tech and cybersecurity in general, because nobody wants to take that fall, right? So in the article, it goes on to say some of the other terms that are associated with being a chief security officer. Sometimes they are referred to as chief scapegoat. Chief scapegoat officers or chief sacrificial officers. Usually, they take the fall when it comes to data breaches and things of that nature. It's a very high-paid position, but it's also a very overwhelming, I guess you could say, or you may not want to be in that seat when it goes down, because almost all companies will suffer some kind of breach or attack at some point, right? Especially if you're in a big name company, there will probably be a breach in the future. Now, with this happening, this Mr. Sullivan being put away for some time, I don't remember if it says in the article how long he may get for it. But
I don't recall it popping up. Yeah.
That'll be next week's article, right? When he goes back to court to figure out how much time he's going to spend in prison, fines, all that other stuff, right? So this is going to cause people to maybe not want to take a position. Like that may be a position that remains open longer than it normally would, despite the humongous salary that comes with it, especially when you work for a very name brand company like an Uber or some other big company that's going to have a breach. Let's say Twitter. I remember Twitter just had the big scandal, and their CTO came out and he's whistleblowing, maybe because of this, right? He's like, you're not going to set me up to take such a big fall, especially if you were not taking my advice. So I say all that to say, that this may cause issues in the future. But how do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I think it's it's definitely like it's an interesting read. Um, and it's kind of crazy that, you know, somebody's potentially seen some I guess some jail time for trying to cover up this breach. But I guess it's kind of, you know, it's bad on his part for trying to cover it up in the first place. I mean, who knows how many people this affected, and if it could have caused people to lose a lot of finance and potentially maybe affect their lives, maybe, you know, potentially depending on what kind of information gets out and what people are using it for. I mean, who knows if somebody ends up having all their money taken from them, they can't pay for their medical bill, you know, medical supplies and all this kind of stuff. Who knows what kind of greater effect this could have had on other people's lives. But yeah, it looks like it's, you know, they kind of got him hemmed up. I'm not sure much he can say for himself to try to like kind of like, I don't know, reduce the sentence or try to like get out of the charges. But um, yeah, it's a pretty concerning thing. And like you said, Ryan, it's being a chief security officer is like I can't imagine, you know, having so much weight on your shoulders and being the kind of the fall guy or girl for any kind of security breach that happens for your business. You got to kind of take the I don't know, you got to take the brunt of the focus from people that are going to be like, hey, why are we missing, or what did we do wrong, and how come our chief security officer didn't take the necessary steps to make sure that we wouldn't be affected by whatever breach was caused. But
Right.
yeah, in this situation, it looks like he try to cover it up so that he wouldn't have to take any kind of like I don't know, any kind of a negative any kind of negative reaction or any kind of negative like
Publicity or
outcome
whatever.
from
Yeah.
yeah. Because like, we talk about other companies and our own personal like phone companies, things like that have done us wrong in the past. And, you know, all it takes is like a free year of Lifeline or
LifeLock.
something, LifeLock. And that seems to be like the fixed action for any kind of security breach. So I don't know why he felt the need to kind of cover it up. He could have just, if I would have cost the company like $1 million, because I don't know, like half the people actually take him up on the offer anyway. So that kind of just saved him a whole lot of hassle and avoid any kind of potential jail time. But I guess with that, I'll get your opinion on this as well, Shannon. What you think about it?
So the chief scapegoat officer thing, I don't think necessarily applies to this guy, right? So like I could see it being the case where, you know, the CSO would ultimately present that information to the C-suite, right? The CFO, CEO, all those people would be sitting there, and they'd be like, "Hey, here is what happened. Like this is what I advise we do." But the CEO ultimately makes the decision on the direction the company goes in, right? The CSO doesn't make that decision on their own. They kind of just recommend, right? It is my understanding of the position. Maybe that's not the case. I'm not a CEO anywhere, right? But or CSO or CIO, CTO, whatever it may be. But he was wrong in that. So they had a breach a couple years or a few years before this one that they had in 2016, right? It was like 2013 or 2014 time frame. They had one. They went out and said, no, these are the steps we're going to take. And then after he testified, they had this breach and he held on to it, like didn't do anything. He actually paid them off. Like he didn't pay him off, but he did it under the guise of the like an idea program. What do they call it? Bug bounty, I think is what they call it. Bug bounty. That's what they call it. Bug bounty program.
Right.
So what he ended up doing was saying, okay, delete everything you got. I'm just going to pay you however much he paid. I can't remember if it was $1 million or like high six figures or whatever it was. We're going to pay you this amount, but you got to delete everything that you got. Right. So like he didn't report it. This is a crime that should have been reported, and he didn't do that. So he can't say he's
100,000. So 100.
It was only 100,000. Oh, I thought it was like a million. Okay, I'm misremembering that. I thought it was like $1 million or something like that. But 100,000, no. That's right. That's nothing. You know, all those millions of people to have their stuff compromised, right? Because it wasn't just the people that worked for him; it was people that were signed up for the company too, right? It wasn't just employees for the data breach, if I remember correctly, right? Or am I misremembering?
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
So it's millions of people. So he can't write himself off to be a scapegoat when you actively covered up a crime, dude. Like you went in there and said, hey, we'll make these changes, and then just paid somebody off essentially, right? So that's just one of those things where, nah, man, like I could see CSOs being scapegoats, but like this is where documentation comes into play, right? Like it's the same thing they tell us in the military, right? Right, Ryan? Like document. Like you write
Yeah.
everything. So when you had that meeting and the CEO was like, we're not going to do that, you know what I mean? Like, okay, all right, understood. I will go with that, but I'm gonna go ahead and save this off. I'm gonna send it to my lawyer, right? So that when you guys try to get me, I'll be like, nope. Hey, release it. Release all that documentation. Let it out. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's if they're gonna make an example out of him, I mean, you gotta give him some time. You gotta make it hurt, right? He can't go to Club Med. He can't be up there like Tron on Chappelle's show. You know what I mean? Turning himself,
Pleading the fifth.
yeah, in the fifth in court. Now he's already sentenced, so like, or he's already convicted.
Yeah, he's convicted.
Not
Now he has to be sentenced.
Yeah, convicted, not sentenced. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. But no, I think they should send a message, right? Especially when it was so many it was millions of people who had their information stolen and he just covered it up. Like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only those people's lives. And you mentioned this previously, Levon, like how many people won't be able to pay. Geez, now I can't talk, Ryan. It's contagious. For medical equipment or medicine or whatever, because their identity's been stolen and people are racking up credit cards accounts on them, or identity theft can reach far and long, right, and have long lasting effects. So those types of things have to be taken into consideration when it comes to sentencing this guy. But no, he's not a scapegoat. He's a criminal. Like he's getting what he deserves.
Yeah, that's very to the point. So I was going to read the statement from U.S. Attorney Stephanie Hines, said in a statement about the conviction on Wednesday. Sullivan affirmatively worked to hide the data breach from the Federal Trade Commission and took steps to prevent the hackers from being caught. Where such conduct violates the federal law, it will be prosecuted. So. Not trying to mince words, right? Not trying to say like, oh, he got hit because he's in this position. I guess to play the devil's advocate, not to absolve him of his crimes, but do such pressures cause people to make terrible decisions. I think he was trying to, either he felt he was trying to save the company or he was trying to save his own skin. That's why he decided to go about it the complete wrong way. And now he's a federal criminal and will never be able to practice cybersecurity anything ever again day in his life.
All right, so let me play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate, though, right?
Oh,
so
no.
If he was, so does that put me on the right side? Does that put me on the starting side? It's like the double.
I don't know. We're all over the
place. But here's the thing. Here's my thinking to this, right? So like if he was doing what he should have been doing, with the things that they said they put in place the couple of years before this one happened, or the few years before this happened, then he would have nothing to hide from. This leads me to believe that he went out there and said, we're doing these things, and they weren't doing those things. And like, if they would have investigated this, they would have seen, you told us you were doing this, that, and the third to prevent this from happening again in the future, and you weren't. In which case, he's still at fault, right? And again, that's speculative, right? I'm not saying 100% that's the case, but that's speculative. And that's probably why he did it. Like, if he was in the right, if he was like, no, this is something different. Like, we did not plan for this, or this is something I did not see, but we will fix it. That would be something different. There's no reason to hide from that. It doesn't seem like, right? But again, I'm not in the C-suite. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I think that's definitely a good point as well. So I don't know. Like we'll circle back around to it once they sentence him, because I'm interested to see how long he goes away and if he has to pay any penalties because of it. But we're running very close to to my timeline. So thank you, Shannon and Levon. It's always a great conversation. Please tune into all of our social medias. Go by our name. Hit me up personally at Rai Security Guy at all the normal places. And you, Levon?
Hit me up on the Twitters.
At Levon.
I was gonna say hit me up on the Twitters. I'll try to cut it down for you. You cut your part.
You're right. Stay safe and secure.
Take care.
Peace.